Waiting to start. Okay, I think we are live now. Hello world, happy to see you all on our Facebook page of Phiren Amenca. My name is Atanas Stoyanov and I'm the project coordinator of the Roma Youth Voices Project of the Phiren Amenca International Roma Youth Network. Tonight, now we are here with four young Roma from around Europe to discuss about 16th of May, the Romani Resistance Day. I will maybe shortly introduce them to you. We have Lolo B-Jones from the UK, a Romani activist. We have Andra Bahor, who is also now from the UK. She's a Roma community worker. And we have with us Mariya Atanasova, Young European of the Year 2020. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
So before to have an interesting conversation with you girls, I would like to state some historical facts about Romani Resistance Day. Romani Resistance Day happened on 16th of May 1944 in the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp. That day, the SS guards surrounded the Zigeunerlager, or the so-called gypsy camp at Auschwitz-Birkenau, with machine guns ready to liquidate and murder nearly 7,000 people. The Roma and Sinti prisoners, however, despite being they understood what is happening, and when the SS commando unit called for Roma and Sinti to leave the residential blocks, they were met with prisoners who refused to come out, barricading the doors and fashioning work tools, handcuffs, knives, and rocks, whatever they had in their hands. Romani Holocaust survivor Hugo Hollenreiner recalled his father shouting, "We are not coming out, you come in here. We are waiting here. If you want something, you have to come inside." The SS unit called an end to the standoff and retreated, and the gypsy camp in Birkenau maintained their survival until 2nd of August, when all the Roma, unfortunately, were exterminated. Many historians today are arguing that 16th of May or Romani resistance have not happened, did not happen at all. However, as the European Roma Youth Network, we claim that 16th of May or Romani resistance should not be only about historical facts, but it also should be about today. It should be about us as young Roma who wants to claim their identity among European people. And for this reason, the Phiren Amenca network also came with a statement, which you can find at our webpage, phirenamenca.eu, about Romani resistance. What else did we do around Romani resistance? There was like a broad European campaign with a lot of young Roma who actually participated, thanks to our partners organizations that was FAGIC from Spain, Association of Young Roma from Slovakia, La Voix de Rome, France, Eromnia, Romania, and many other young people. I'm going to read the names and thank to all the people who participated in our Voices of Romani Resistance video campaign. Young Roma Sinti travelers, they took videos of themselves. Opre Heroes Collective, also from Austria. If I'm missing somebody, please forgive me, but thanks to Lila from Hungary, Csaba from Hungary, Marina Cipus from Hungary, Denisa, Elisa from Romania, Elena, Alisa, Maria, and Anna from France, William from France, Mariya from Bulgaria, who is also our guest today, Marcel from Slovakia, Oliver from Slovakia, Vita from Slovakia, Israel from Spain, Richie Thibault from France, Sarai from Spain, Daniel Husseini from Albania, Sasha from Austria, Sladi from Austria. And if I'm missing somebody, please forgive me, because a lot of people took part in this wonderful campaign, and you can see their videos on the Facebook page of Phiren Amenca, and also maybe there are some photos. Without further ado, I am stepping into the conversation with our guests. So, whom shall we start with? I don't know, Lolo. What is for you Romani resistance? Can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
So I'm a young Romani gypsy based in the UK. I'm Romani and I'm also Jewish, and I'm also gay. So for me, like, Romani resistance is about unapologetic identity, and it's about being unapologetically Romani and unapologetically ourselves in terms of like self-expression and in terms of pride. So for me, Romani resistance is also about celebrating the intersectional aspects of our identity. So, you know, whatever kind of background you come from as a Romani person, you are just as valid, important, and should be celebrated.
Thank you. Anybody else who would like to answer on what is Romani resistance for you?
I can say a few words about what is about Romani resistance for me. As a young Roma girl, I can say that Roma resistance is really important even in these days for us, for young Roma people, to stand and to speak out about our community. And because in everyday life, sometimes we can see injustice and discrimination and prejudice against Roma people and our communities, and it's really important to speak out and to resist as our ancestors did.
Thank you, Mariya. Andra, could you please present yourself also? Like, what do you do? Your connection with Phiren Amenca, maybe?
Yes, thank you, Nasco. Can I say that my name is Andra Bahor and I am a former volunteer from Phiren Amenca. I finished in 2015 my EVS, and after this I come here in Liverpool and I work like a Roma community development worker. All my work here is about community, to represent them, and the Roma to have a voice. Resistance for me is part of my daily life because I try every day to resist against of stereotypes, against of bad prejudice, because a lot of people, they read from mass media, newspaper, negative story, and every day I speak with people, my colleagues from local councils, people who works for the communities, to explain them the Roma, they are not like this, how they see. This is, can I say more about my work here, that all of what I learned from Phiren Amenca was an activist, to be proud about my identity. And when I start to work here, I want also people who works with me to understand what is Roma, our background, our history, to not come with stereotypes, to not come and to tell me what they hear from others, and first to understand us, the community from here. And this is why when I started here, I make presentation about the Roma history, about immigrants, why Roma, they were here in UK from 10 years ago, like asylum seekers from Czech Republic, from Slovakia. And I want for them to understand that integration is not what is happening in East Europe. Only the NGOs, the charity organization that works for the Roma to work alone, without the key workers, without the decision makers from locals. No, me, I want here them to be involved in the community, because this is integration for me and this is resistance, I think.
Thank you, Andra. Before we continue, I would like to ask our viewers who are watching us on Facebook, please feel free to comment, to send us questions. We will be happy to also talk with you and to answer your questions while we are having our conversation. Uh, Thanks for this point, Andra. It is, I guess, difficult, the process of integration, and you are doing a great work there in Chester, UK. Uh, you also, Lolo, mentioned
Liverpool. Lolo.
Liverpool. I'm sorry. You also, Lolo, mentioned that about intersectionality and how you defend your identity many times every day. Now we have a very interesting person with us, Mariya from Bulgaria, Mariya Atanasova, who was chosen to be the Young European of the Year 2020. Congratulations for this, Mariya.
Thank you.
What is to be Young European of the Year, and how do you see your I know your work as young? What is your work as Young European of the Year? Do you have like a program to follow? Can you please share with us a few things about yourself?
Firstly, to answer what is to be the Young European of the Year, actually, I'm really happy that me as a Roma, I was chosen to be the Young European of the Year, and what I represent, the Roma community and the Roma cause. And I'm happy that I can actually speak out of the behalf of my community and the young Roma people here in Bulgaria and in general in Europe. Actually, we had a program to follow, but during this situation with COVID-19, actually, the program is a bit changed. But I still stay active online. I still participate in different campaigns and doing mostly online activism now.
Perfect. I also see, as I'm from Bulgaria as well, I also see you are very active, which is like admirations for that.
Thank you.
I would like to tell many of our youngsters who did videos about Romani resistance. They mentioned bullying in school. They mentioned that they want to improve travelers' life, that they want young Sinti to be part of society. But mostly they shared with us experiences about discrimination from their peers, classmates, bullying, hate speech. What do you find yourself in such situation, and what would you advise people, young people, in such situation? How they should react when they face hate speech, bullying?
I think the most important them to understand, sincerely, to not care so much of the others, what they say about them, to be proud of themselves, because they know their family, they know how is in the home, in their house. They don't need to listen to others, but I can say from my experience that is hard, and this is why I think the best tool to fight against of this is education. Show them in the class that you are better than them. I don't know, if you are first in the class or second one, you can show between this that you are better than the others. This is for children, young people who are in the high school, in the classes, and I know how it's very hard for them when someone comes to you, say that you are Tsigan, you are a gypsy, you are segregated in the classes. Show them between the best tool is education, for my point of view.
I've had like a lot of experiences with discrimination, especially whilst at university. And something that I would really recommend is to know that you do have a voice as a young person. There's actually an organisation in the UK known as Gatehurts, which is a GRT, which is Gypsy Roma Traveller led organisation where you can report hate crime as, you know, a person from this diverse community, and actually they can take it on, report it, and go as far as you like, and essentially assist you through the process. You're not getting concerned about having to liaise with police, which can be known to cause a lot of anxiety within our communities. There's also a lot of other things that you can contact. So, for example, with online hate, you have media such as Travelers Times in the UK, who you can contact if you're experiencing hate on social media, who have immense training on how to get those things taken down or disabled, and also have a lot of information on how to deal when you get like hate and discrimination, especially on an online platform, and can support you in that sense. Something I would also recommend is that there is also like traveler and Roma, you know, therapists. It's just about getting in touch with GRT-led organizations and seeing what they have to offer you as a young person, in terms of who you can contact. Because there also is a lot of ways where you can create a support network of, you know, GRT people. So, you know, it's not hard to reach out to, say, for example, the ERRC, the European Roma Rights Centre, or any kind of like, you know, Roma org, even like Phiren Amenca, who I'm sure would actually signpost you as a young person to groups of other Roma and other travellers, just to find people to talk to about it and realise that you actually have a voice, because there's strength in numbers. So if you're experiencing something, it's not just you on your own. You can actually get like organisation backing if you're going up against a university. Because like when I'm going against my university at the moment, I went onto a BBC podcast and publicised it, and suddenly they started to make moves to actually care about the problem. And that was because I was backed up by numerous traveller Roma organisations who were like, well, you're not on your own. You're not a vulnerable person who's alone. You actually have the backing of a lot of people. So that is something to remember as well. We're not just a small group without any agency or power. We are powerful together because we're such like a built up niche network of activists. It's very easy to get in contact with each other.
Thank you, Luis. Mariya, have you experienced discrimination yourself, and what would you advise young people? I know that you are actually mentoring young people as a volunteer. So what do you advise people, young Roma who face discrimination? Are they sharing such cases with you?
Actually, yeah, I've been experienced discrimination, and I also shared in a video for Phiren Amenca and this campaign. That when I was in my first year as a student, there was a professor that was talking against Roma people, things based on prejudice and stereotype, and I actually was the only Roma in the room. And of course, I stood up and I said something, because firstly I was shocked how it's possible someone who is representing an institution and working with students can behave in this way. I advise actually my mentees to be active and never to be afraid to speak when they see something like this. And I know that it's hard for every one of us, everyone who is at university, at school. Actually, we have really challenges. We were facing challenges, and it's hard time for every one of us. But I think it's really important to stand behind our communities and to be proud and to not be ashamed, because we are not wrong in any way. Actually, the society has to change how they understand how Roma are, and that actually the prejudices are not true, and that we are there, we are in these institutions, and we represent our communities, and we have to speak, we have to stand by our communities.
Wow. Thank you. Also, if I have to like sum up what you just said, you are not on your own. Show that you are better than them. Report hate speech. Contact organizations that can help you. Raise your voice. Don't be afraid. Actually, the society should change. You raise like wonderful points. I want also to ask you about the Romani contribution to European culture and history often remains unacknowledged. We rarely talk about it, and I think in days such as tomorrow, 16th of May, the Romani Resistance Day, it's good to remember that Roma are also here in Europe for centuries. They have contributed to Roma history and culture. What do you think should be done so that Roma are, as general, more recognized in their countries of origin, like their contribution to history and culture becomes more recognized? And what do we young people can play a role in this?
I think it's about holding a lot of, because the thing is that I think general society romanticizes our culture, right? So you'll have like big designers taking aspects of our culture and appropriating it, but then don't respect us as a people when we wear it ourselves and express it ourselves. And I think it's about calling that out and then spinning it to be like, you know, don't love us in this kind of like from like a gadget mindset. Love us as we are from our own perspective and with our own ownership over our own voices. I think it's just about switching the perspective of appreciating us from a romanticized fairy tale perspective and switching that to actually us taking it for ourselves.
Yeah. Anybody else on the topic of culture and history?
Yeah, we need to be. Sorry, Mariya, you can say.
Okay, continue.
Okay, only I will be short. I think that our culture will be recognized when some stereotype they will finish, you know, for them, for the non-Roma, because a lot of them they use our culture like stereotype, and this is a bad thing, you know. In my point of view, I don't like to think Roma is only dance, colorful, and this kind of things. They can use like how is Spanish music traditional from is a part of the culture. In Romania, the music lauterie is also a part of the culture of Romania, but they don't see the positive. They unfortunately they show the negativity.
Yeah, Mariya.
I want to say that I completely agree with Lolo and also with Alexandra. I think that most of the people are thinking about the Roma people as these people from the fairy tales, and but actually we are real people. We are not from the fairy tales, and that's only prejudice. It's that kind of mindset. And I think maybe it will be more recognized if we are not ashamed of our culture and our contribution, because in this day I think there are some even young people who are ashamed and who are actually not recognizing themselves with our history, with our culture, and they're ashamed from the culture that we bring. But I think it's really important to recognize ourselves and to talk about it, and to be proud and to recognize firstly ourselves with the community and with our history and culture that we have, because it's beautiful and there is nothing to be ashamed of.
Thank you, Mariya. We have actually a question from the audience. It's a question from Zachary. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Can you recommend some more trusted news websites in Europe and the world that talk about Roma issues, please, and thanks.
I think it's about Roma-owned like news, like Phiren Amenca, the European Roma Rights Center, Travelers Times, Travelers Voice, Avaya, things like that, stuff that's actually owned from our perspective, because at the moment all of our media representation is done from a gadget perspective, which is looked at for profit, as opposed to actually accurate information about our communities. So looking at stuff that's actually owned by the community, like those groups and many more, which I'm sure like the others on this kind of like, you know, chat will say, but it's about that focus. Those are what I would recommend.
Thank you, Lois. The topic of Roma heroes, I want to bring it in as somebody, not only me, I think, but I will share a personal story. Somebody met me on a conference 2-3 years ago, non-Roma, and asked me, "Oh, you're Roma?" I said, "Yes." Is it true that you don't have heroes? And that was a question that actually made me think a lot, like the perception that Roma do not have heroes. In fact, Phiren Amenca had a special campaign on Romani heroes as a movement. There is also Opera Heroes Collective from Austria, an organization that named themselves, you know, this name especially. So my question for you is personal. Who is a Roma hero?
Can I say first that for me, the Roma hero is the survivor from the Holocaust. I think that for sure, they are our heroes. And after this, our parents, family that support us, friends, these people around of us, they can be heroes, and activist people that will fight for our rights.
Mine is Antonella Duda. She is a trans Roma woman activist. She is absolutely fantastic. Follow her right now. I swear, anyone watching this, just follow her. Well, after this panel, because we're fabulous, obviously. But like, you know, follow her right now. She is a feminist. She is Roma. She's from Romania. And she's speaking up about a very important thing, which is, you know, people of color in terms of Roma who are trans and are suffering at the hands of multiple discrimination. She is a woman, she is a trans woman, and she is Roma. And the different things that she faces in terms of multiple discrimination, both from outside society and from within community, is something that's like really important. And she's my hero because I think she's so brave. And I also think she's just one of the most amazing speakers and underrated, like Roma, you know, heroes and activists ever. Like, honestly, she's everything, essentially.
Thank you. Do you have a hero, Mariya?
I can say that all those people who are in their daily life are fighting discrimination, prejudice, and fighting for, insisting for social change. They are heroes too, because it takes a lot of courage to stand and to fight against this thing.
Thank you. Do you still hear me? Because I somehow lost connection.
I can hear you.
Yes.
We have a question from the audience. It's coming from Marietta. Why the voice of Roma youth is important in terms of policy making, in terms of shaping public perception, or in terms of resisting discrimination and anti-Gypsyism? Why the voice of Roma youth is important? She's asking.
If I can answer this, maybe. I think that our voices are really important, because if we want something to be done for us, for our community, we should insist for it, and like nothing for us without us to be made. And that's why we have to be included in this, to participate in this decision making, and we have to be part of it if you want a result that will be good for us, and that will happen, actually, something that really will happen for the community and for Roma.
I think also Roma youth voices are important because we're not just voices of ourselves. Essentially, for like over 1,000 years, our communities have been silenced by genocide, mass extermination, suffering, poverty, which is still going on right now. And we are the voices of all of our ancestors and all of our families and all of our generations. We are representatives, and also we are an example of change. You know, like my parents never went to university at all. I'm the first person to ever go. And this is something that we're an example as a generation of change and the changing voice of our family that never had the chance to be represented and to never have their voice heard because it was essentially just too dangerous for them to do so. And I think that's what makes our voices so important. We represent our families, we represent our ancestors, and also we represent a very niche part of society that are currently going through like issues in education and the current issues of schooling. And we're actually navigating that right now. And I think something that's a bit different is that we're also navigating a changing virtual online society where we've essentially been raised twice by the hate in general society navigating our lives and also online in the virtual space. And I think that's something that's also important, especially in terms of intersectionality. Like, for example, I exist both online and offline in my life as a Jewish, Romani, like lesbian, like working class woman. And those are whole different layers where if you put it into like your daily life walking around, that is a stress and that is a danger. And I think we're one of the first generations to actually have this on more of a public pedestal about intersectionality, multiple discrimination, and just something that's not really been spoken up about much until now, I would say.
Thank you, Louise. We actually have another question, which is coming from Pia from Youth of European Nationalities. She's saying, as also a representative of minority youth organization, we can already see the effects of the pandemic on the identity of minority youth, as a lot of youth events where they usually become empowered by each other through sharing stories and experiences are being canceled. How do you cultivate your identity and your voice, and how would you encourage other youngsters to stay connected to their minority identities during these tough times?
I've actually started something very recently where I'm essentially, I'll show you now, I'm making like hair ribbons for anyone who is Roma or GRT. I'm making them for free. All the people have to pay for is postage. And it's a way that people can access aspects of cultural identity in a way that works for them and doesn't feel dangerous, that they can actually put into their identity every day. And this is just a starter of what I'm trying to do during this pandemic. Like on my Instagram, I'm doing weekly Education Tuesdays and takeovers where people can actually, who are Roma, who are traveler, can go onto my Instagram and take over my entire story and talk about something about their life, a skill that they have or something that they want to do. But like something else that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a Diclo collective where like people can donate Diclos, and people who don't have them across Europe and want to feel a sense of cultural identity can just drop me a message and I'll send them one for free. And this is a way to cultivate like Roma identity and unapologetic cultural identity during a pandemic where we're even further being demonized. So that's also me putting that out, that if you're watching this, you can access that, just like DM me. But yeah.
Thank you, Louise. So if you would like to have Romani Diclo, please private message to Louise and she will reply to you. Let me check if we have other questions for the moment. Can Lolo repeat the name of the activist she mentioned we should follow? So can you repeat the name of the activist that you mentioned?
Antonella Duda. Antonella Duda. She's awesome. You can find her on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're struggling to spell her name, if you go onto the European Roma Rights Center Instagram or Facebook page, she actually did a video for ERRC on there. So you can actually find her via the ERRC page as well.
Wow, I think if we don't have any other questions from the public, I'm just checking. No, but let's say we can take one more if it comes. Meanwhile, I will use the time to mention about the opportunity that Phiren Amenca currently is providing, and it is volunteering in France. We have several volunteering positions in France, and we are looking for young Roma and non-Roma interested, of course, after the COVID crisis, to spend some time and develop themselves personally in France. please private message us. Besides this opportunity, we are going to have many other, hopefully after Corona, youth events that gather young Roma and non-Roma. You know, the European Roma Week was cancelled, but we are not giving it up, organizing a similar event in the near future, perhaps in the autumn. We are also hoping to organize Socceres Europa in Lithuania next year. So this is just like to share some positive news with you. Besides the campaign of Phiren Amenca that has been done from the 1st until 15th of May, we're publishing every day a video of a young Roma Sinti traveler stating what is Romani resistance for them. Today we have this online conversation with you, Voices of Romani Resistance. I would like also to state that the Advisory Council on Youth of the Council of Europe 4 hours ago came up with a statement on Romani resistance, which is also admirations for that. Thank you, Council of Europe, for doing it. And I would also like to mention other organization that is also having a campaign on Romani resistance. That is the Traveler Pride organization. So they're also having a similar to our campaign. Every voice matters. I would like to thank you very much for your participation. And before I close this conversation, I see there is a comment coming from John. I'm so scared to promote myself as Roma because most people where I live don't understand that Roma are real people.
Whoa.
They think we are a fairy tale. How did you become so brave? Okay, so questions are coming. Let's try to reply. Who wants to reply to John?
Can I say something? Something. If you want to be John, his name. If you want to be brave, to show them from your experience, like me, you can see me. Me, I am an example that me, I am not a stereotype that is in your mind. Because a lot of non-Roma, they think that Roma are only the traditionals, what they see in mass media, in the newspaper, different things. No, we are Roma, the individuals. And I think that, John, you are the best example for your community to show them that they are not right.
So John, you are not a fairy tale. For sure, you are not, because we are many and we are real. And we are, as you can see, everywhere in each country. We are online, we are visible. So be brave and be confident. We are always here to support you if you need help. One another question. When there are so many bad things happening to Roma, why do we focus on resistance and positive stories? Does it have a positive effect on our identities or our future?
Of course, that if we share the positive, so we can be a positive example for John, for example, because we have to show that there are so many active Roma, and of course it is important to talk about the problems, but we have to show that we are active, that we have voice, and of course this positivism has to spread, because that's the way to engage other youth to be proud of themselves and to keep their identity as Roma, because to be Roma there is nothing to be ashamed of, or there is nothing wrong with it. And we have to keep the positive stories also. Of course, we are talking about the problems, we are talking about the prejudice and the fight that we have to do all over our communities. But of course, I think the positive stories have their impact. and it is important.
I think it's also that we have to really think about the point of Roma activism in this. The point of Roma activism isn't always raising awareness of like everything like that's going against us as a community to try and make gadget care or non-Roma care. It's sometimes about like empowerment. It's about deconstructing a lot of self-shame. And I think sometimes you really have to think about centering our own communities in our activism and making sure that we share positive stories, because I know a lot of Roma, Romani, travelers, Sinti, anyone within our wide variety of communities who have so much self-shame because society has taught them that everything that's been done bad against Roma is our fault. Society has gaslit us as a community to make us think that we have to carry their shame. And we need to have these positive stories to say, no, actually, this is your shame to carry as a society. This is not ours, and this is not our story. It's about amplifying Roma stories and Roma experiences, and that we are not just victims, but leaders of our own change. Roma people are not just passive victims in society. We are people who have survived for 1,000 years against ethnic cleansing. That is a very big survival. And the way that we have done that is through our solidarity and through our strength as a culture. And that is something to also be celebrated, because sometimes aspects of positive celebration is also to show recognition and bravery for the loss that we have experienced as well. Is to say that our oppression, you know, an oppression that has been controlled by our oppressors is not going to be centered in our voices. I am not going to center oppression by general white society over my empowerment as a young Romani person and all the beautiful things that are part of our culture. And it's like people like John, for example, who's put in that question. It's because we have this element of shame. Shame is not for us to carry. It is for society to carry on what they have done to us systematically for a very, very long time. And that is part of Romani resistance and empowerment. It's breaking down those barriers. And that isn't just from society, that's also in your own mind.
Thank you, Louise. Well, on that note, I would like to thank you all for devoting time and for being brave to stand online and to answer these questions and to be together with many other young Roma people across Europe and the world. I would like to thank all our partner NGOs, which I already mentioned before, who took part in this initiative for Romani resistance. I would like to thank once again all these young Roma who recorded videos or photos and they participated in the campaign. And I would like to thank personally to the team of the Phiren Amenca International Network, Mariya Herford, Anna Darozzi, Ildi Kochania, the graphic designer who did this wonderful logo. You see my logo felt behind me because I know technicalities. But thank you all, and we are not stopping with our discussions and with our work here. It's not just the Romani Resistance Day. We are continuing to show the Roma Youth Voices, to show the positive stories, to provide opportunities. So please follow us. Thank you all, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also thank you to NASCO for like taking on this and sitting here with us. And thank you to everyone on this talk. You've all been amazing. And it's nice to see young Roma women like taking center stage today and hearing from all your perspectives. So thank you for empowering me further, everyone else as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.